Welcome to Nice From Education, the largest producer of maps and globes in the United States. Exploring Where and Why, your hands-on program for social studies, is definitely a program that incorporates the other disciplines. We looked in session 3 at the many ways that we have cross-curricular instruction. Today, you're joining Exploring Where and Why 101, session 4, your literacy library. It's my pleasure to be serving today as your host and narrator. I'm Pam Gothard, Professional Learning Director for Nice From Education. We've met Miss Lynn in previous videos. Here you can see her with our first grade literacy library. Miss Lynn is a first grade teacher and a certified Exploring Where and Why facilitator. As you can see, she's holding the Literacy Library's Teacher's Guide. Let's begin there. Just as you learned in one of our earlier sessions, the best place to start is the Teacher's Guide. Your literacy library contains 12 books, fiction and nonfiction, and a host of lesson plans. Your table of contents is where you'll find a list of the books contained in your particular set. You can also find recommendations as to which books are best used in which situations. For instance, you'll notice here that the book Grandfather Counts is recommended in 10 different places. I'll have to admit, that's an unusually high number. But you do have a lot of flexibility in where you wish to utilize the various books. This also helps if you're sharing resources. You and your colleagues can plan accordingly, sharing the books at different times in the lessons. This is just one of the many ways that you and your colleagues can utilize the resources without crowding one another's space. For today, let's look at the journey of Oliver K. Woodman. There are 4 recommended places in which to use this particular book. No, I probably wouldn't use it in all 4, but I do have a lot of teachers that will use it in more than one place. They like students to be able to see that having a purpose for reading can sometimes form what they get out of a book and make it different than other times when they read the book. As you learned in our last session that Exploring Where and Why is a cross-curricular program, you can see here that in our literacy portion, we're still going cross-curricular into the other disciplines. It's a great way to engage your students with a variety of disciplines and helping students to understand that learning doesn't occur in isolation. Ms. Lynn decided to conduct 2 activities related to the journey of Oliver K. Woodman, a phonics lesson and a geography lesson. Let's start with her read aloud.
Okay. I want to read you the funniest book. It is the funniest book. It's called The Journey of Oliver K. Woodman. It's written by Darcy Pattison. All right. If they're the writer, what do we call them? The author. And it's illustrated by Joe Cepeda. If it's illustrated, he's the person that draws the picture. Okay, I want you to listen closely as I read today because Oliver K. Woodman is going to go to a lot of places, a whole lot of places. And we've been talking about the United States, and he's going to travel. This is Uncle Ray. May the 10th, Red Crest, California. Dear Uncle Ray, please come to visit us this summer. We will go camping. We can swim and catch fish. You are my favorite uncle. Please say you will come. Love, Tamika. May 17th. Dear Tamika, I'd love to come to California, but I can't. I will be building kitchen cabinets for some new apartments all summer. Kind of like Mr. Beeman does. Isn't that cool? But maybe my friend Oliver will come to visit. Love, Uncle Ray.
The phonics activity had students arrange the names of all the states that Oliver K. Woodman had visited. They arranged those states in alphabetical order. The students had great fun in organizing the names of the different states that Oliver had visited. You might notice that several of the states had to be alphabetized by the 2nd and even 3rd letter. As you can see here, each group approached the activity slightly differently. As long as they arranged the cards in alphabetical order, that's what mattered. The next activity that Ms. Lynn chose to use was a geography activity. The students were asked to locate and mark the states in which Oliver had traveled. They used the United States political desk map for this particular activity.
I want you to find the state that Oliver K. Woodman began in. Does anyone remember that state? the state that Oliver K. Woodsman started in. South Carolina. I want you to put an X on South Carolina. An X on South Carolina. But find the state of Tennessee on your map. Need the big one. Here's Tennessee. It's right up above Alabama, and Memphis is actually over here on the far end. So put a little dot. Just put a little dot over here on the edge of Tennessee. Look. Here's Tennessee. Let me borrow your pen for just 1 second. Here's South Carolina. This is where we were. Now we're over here in Tennessee. A dot right there. With me? If you need help, raise your hand. Perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Memphis, Tennessee. And then the next state was Arkansas. Arkansas. You see it? It's right next to Tennessee. It's yellow. All right? So put a dot in Arkansas right at the top.
Students always enjoy getting to use their markers and write-on resources. This hands-on method also provides a great opportunity for Miss Lynn to conduct formative assessment just as she walks about the room. One of Miss Lynn's favorite books in her collection is The Other Side. She frequently cries when she reads it, but she still loves the book. As you can see from the table of contents, this book has been recommended in 2 different places. Miss Lynn was running a little short on time and thought she'd only be able to get in 1 activity regarding this book. But after looking through the options, she realized that she could actually get in 2. So her first choice then is a fluency activity. Read the text aloud to model fluency. Wow, that's great. I can get in 2 activities. Draw students' attention to places in the story where quotation marks are used. Model how to read dialogue. Have students echo read portions of the story that contain the dialogue.
The title of my story is The Other Side by Jacqueline Woodson and illustrated by E.B. Lewis. That summer, the fence that stretched through our town seemed bigger. We lived in a yellow house on one side of it. White people lived on the other. And Mama said, "Don't climb over that fence when you play." She said it wasn't safe. That summer, everyone and everything on the other side of that fence seemed far away. When I asked my mama why, she said, "Because that's the way things have always been." Sometimes, when me and Mama went into town, I saw that girl with her mama. She looked sad sometimes, that girl did. "Don't stare," my mama said. "It's not polite."
Students are listening attentively as Miss Lynn reads and models fluency. They're anxiously awaiting their opportunity to echo read. For her second choice, Miss Lynn chose to use civics activity number 3. While her students are good about sharing and getting along, she felt some still weren't as connected to their classmates as perhaps they could be. So here we go. Students will create an invitation to invite someone to sit with them at lunch or to play with them at recess, but it has to be someone with whom they don't usually sit or play. What a great way to get some of their other students involved and connected to their classmates.
A while ago, we were reading The Other Side, and in that story, there were 2 little girls who learned that they could play together. One sat on the fence for a long, long time until the other little girl invited her to play. I want you to think about someone in our classroom, or maybe even someone in another classroom that you have never played with before.
These girls are certainly putting a lot of thought into their invitations. Just as Miss Lynn's students were enjoying learning, your students will too. I'm sure you and your students are going to enjoy exploring your books from the Literacy Library. Remember, there are fiction and nonfiction books included in your set. Well, you've come to our 4th and final session of Exploring Where and Why 101. Please complete the assignment you see here, send it to me, and I'll be glad to give you some feedback and send you a certificate for 2 hours of CEUs. Just utilize one of the books from the Literacy Library, take some photos of your students completing an activity, and maybe some shots of the completed activities themselves, and send them over to me at pgothart@nystromeducation.com. It's been my pleasure to be your host and your narrator. I hope you enjoy using your Exploring Where and Why program.